We will get back to talking about my Cowboys signing Aldon Smith here in just a few minutes on Undisputed. But right now, let's get back to talking about Tom Brady of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Still doesn't sound quite right, but I still love it. Shannon Sharpe, an NFL executive, has told The Athletic, and I'm going to quote, "People who want to judge Tom Brady based upon the results they got last year in New England are way off base." That means you, Shannon Sharpe. Would you please defend yourself?
Let that sink in. For the people at home that's watching this, let this sink in. For the first time in history, we're not supposed to judge an athlete on what we previously saw. We're supposed to go back to his best years, the greatest deeds that he's ever done, and judge him off that. Where? When have we ever done that? And I told you, Skip, that's the problem that I have with so many people. They want to, 42-year-old quarterback, had arguably one of his worst seasons ever. Don't judge him on that. Judge him on the years that he won the Super Bowl. Judge him on other things. Don't judge him on that season. Well, damn, are we going to do, so is that the treatment that we're giving athletes moving forward? So if they have a bad year, we're not going to judge them on that bad year. Because Cam Newton is out of a job. Phillip Rivers is out of a job. There are a lot of guys that's out of jobs because they had a bad last year. But we're not to judge them on that. Tom Brady is the only one that people will continuously make excuses for on why he performed bad. It was the receivers. It was the offensive line. It was his running game. But none of those guys got credit when he was wheeling and dealing. Why now? When things are going good, oh, Tom Brady is 40 years old and he won the Super Bowl. Ain't mentioned nothing about the running game. Ain't mentioned nothing about the receivers. Ain't mentioned nothing about the O-line. Now at 42, he struggles. Well, it wasn't his fault. Man, y'all need to stop this, Skip. I've never seen anything like it. In all my years of playing, in all my years, they didn't make these, oh, we can't judge Joe Montana on last year. Why not? Because that's what we have to go on. You only as good as the last thing you put on tape. That's what we judge. That's why they film practice. Guess what? There's a guy that everybody says that's a GOAT of coaches that's up for an Emmy. And he said, from what I've seen in practice and what I've seen in game day, I'm only willing to go year to year, but not nearly at the price that other teams were willing to go. I'm going to take Coach Belichick over this anonymous exec.
Good for you. And we now have a bet that I say Tampa Bay will have a better record than New England next year. I forget we bet like 10 cases on that. And I will be right about this because three cases, whatever it was, you name it, 3, 4, 33, I don't care. The point is, Bill Belichick is, I think, going to go forward with Jared Stidham as his quarterback. And Tom Brady now has 4 weapons, better than any single weapon he had last year. And he has 2 offensive coaches who, as much as I respect Josh McDaniels, are much better than Josh McDaniels ever thought about being. And the point is that the executive is saying people who want to judge Tom based upon the results they got in New England last year are off base, because he goes on to say virtually all of his physical skills are still there. He compares Tom going to Tampa to Peyton, as you know, going to Denver. Peyton was coming off serious neck surgery, spinal surgery, in which he had lost the ability to throw a football across the room, let alone for 20, 30, 40 yards on a football field. And as you know, Peyton should have won the next 2 MVPs, and Peyton went to 2 Super Bowls, and they did win 1, and he wasn't at his best. But his leadership skills, his presence, his aura, his charisma helped lift that team to a Super Bowl championship over Cam and company.
Right.
And what this guy is saying is that Tom is way better off now than Peyton was when he got to Denver, because Tom missed the 1 season in 2008, what's that, 12 years ago, with the ACL tear. And since then, he's been relatively healthy. And last year, he stayed relatively healthy. He had some kind of elbow issue, but I don't think it really affected him. And yet, Shannon, what you continue to ignore because it doesn't fit in your narrative is that Tom Brady took a pretty sorry offense, a pretty sorry collection of talent, and took it all the way to the 2 seed. They should have had a bye week. Tom Brady in the final regular season game, and you can't argue out of this one, he did what he always does. Yet another fourth quarter game-winning drive against the Dolphins. Put them up 24-20 with 3.5 minutes to go. And all Belichick's defense had to do, the GOAT's defense, was to stop Ryan Fitzpatrick from going 80 yards for a touchdown. And he pulled it off, 80 yards in 13 plays. With 5 seconds left, he had Mike Gesicki, his young tight end, for a 5-yard touchdown pass, and they lost 27-24 and lost the bye and lost the 2 seed. That's on Belichick, but he gets a complete pass for that, and Tom gets no credit for having to overcome no Gronk, no Antonio Brown after 1 game, no Josh Gordon because Belichick cut him, obviously no Chris Hogan because they let him go in the offseason, and all of a sudden it was the worst tight end productivity in the whole NFL as a unit because their go-to tight end was 39-year-old Benjamin Watson. The running game became mediocre at best. The offensive line was mediocre at best without its starting center, David Andrews. And they tried at the trade deadline, he spent, Belichick, a second-round pick on Mohamed Sanu. Help me out. Did that work? He was a bust. So it leaves only Julian Edelman, who needed shoulder surgery, who led the league in drop passes, who had cracked ribs and a bad knee, and Tom somehow lifted that mess up to the 2 seed until Belichick spit the bit. I don't know. I thought Tom was actually pretty good last year, and I think he's going to be great next year.
But here's the thing, Skip. You failed to mention that Tom Brady threw an interception, a pick 6, in that game that gave Miami 7 extra points. Okay, that was standing. But again, when they lost that game to Miami, they didn't get knocked out of the playoffs. They went from the 2 to the 3 seed. They still had a home playoff game. Do you think Tom Brady played good in that game? Now, I remember the greatest come from behind in Super Bowl history. Tom Brady orchestrated that without Gronk. And everybody, including you, talk about he did this without Gronk. Now you belly aching that he needs Gronk. He just orchestrated the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history without Gronk. And you, oh, Gronk, look what he did without Gronk. Look what he did without this one. Look what he did without that one. Now, all of a sudden, you see, that's, again, I got no problem. I think Tom Brady is historically transcendent great. But when he loses, it's always everybody else's fault. When he wins, you don't mention Gronk. You didn't mention Edelman. You didn't mention Hogan or Amendola. You didn't mention they led the league in playoff rushing, averaging 162. You don't mention that he had 0 touchdowns and a pick in the Super Bowl with a 39 QBR. All you want to mention is, what about that defense? Held the highest scoring offense to 3 points. But it was Tom Brady. You only want to blame Coach Belichick when Tom Brady loses, but you don't mention anything when they win. Because, again, look at what he did to the greatest show on turf. Look at what he did to the Rams, the 2.0 greatest show. Nah, it was all Brady, all Brady. But the moment he loses, he gave up 41. He gave up 41 to Nick Foles. He gave up this. Ryan Tannehill, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Okay, what did Tom do?
Well,
his first Super Bowl.
You're revising history. Yeah. Okay, but in the Atlanta epic comeback, he did have Amendola and he did have Hogan, and he obviously had a much healthier Edelman. So he didn't need Gronk. He had James White. I give you all that. But you keep reaching back to the old days, and I keep going forward to the new days because I think he's virtually completely healthy. And I saw no drop-off in skill last year. I thought the arm talent looked the same as always. I thought the release was just as quick. I thought the accuracy was just as deadly. And I thought the velocity was just what it's always been, which is not great, but good enough. So he's raring to go at going on 43 with a new challenge And I like his chances next year a whole lot better than I like Bill Belichick's.
Okay, how about this here? Since you say you don't want to go back, and let's go to 2019. Talk to me about 2019. Let's not go back. I don't want to go any further. Oh, but I forgot. We're not supposed to judge Tom on 2019. So how am I supposed to judge him, Skip? You tell me I can't go back. This guy don't want me to judge him on what I last saw. So how the hell do I evaluate Tom Brady? Just take it, oh, well, he won 6 Super Bowls, and that's good enough, Shannon. No, that ain't how you do it.
Okay. No. All you need to know about 2019 is the Patriot receivers were dead last in the whole NFL in separation from defenders. That's all you need to know. I'll judge him off that. Simple as that.
And
all right, let's change the subject.
And all you need to know.
Yeah.
Oh. I was going to say all you need to know is that the quarterback was 19th in QBR and 27th in completion percentage.
Okay.
That's all you need to know.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's get back to talking about my Dallas Cowboys. They made a very controversial, maybe reach of a signing last night, Aldon Smith. We debate that next here on Undisputed.